Hi, everyone. Welcome to the moon forecast for the full moon in Aries for October the 20th. I'm Kendall Shahan, the Bohemian Tarot Girl, and this is my co host, Amy. Amy, give a shout out for yourself.
Hi, my name is Amy Amonette, and I am an intuitive energy coach and leader of women's moon circles. And I've been doing that a long time. And so here we are again to go over some of the upcoming energy that is coming in with this full moon.
Yes. And remember, please, if you enjoy this, to subscribe, like it, share it out. We'd always appreciate the support. And it keeps us coming back to do more for you. Um, so we have this kind of unique energy coming in, with the start of a new cycle with the Aries energy. Um, and we have all these planets that, we started with, being, in retrograde, and now we're coming direct. So how are you feeling about this energy coming up, Amy?
You know, I've really been looking forward to this energy, and I think it's important to kind of like go back and look at what you've been working through, because
Yeah.
there's always a process as to what happens with the planets um leading up to this full moon, especially this one, because we've had, I think, like 6 planets in retrograde. And when things are in retrograde, it's a good time to reflect and to integrate and to kind of like take a step back and reassess things. So that does have a purpose, but it can also be really difficult to make progress in your own life, or to have all the pieces come together and make sense. And so I think a lot of people have really kind of been feeling almost like this kind of sense of being stuck, or like things are moving very slowly, or kind of a lot of indecision, lack of clarity. um and so we're coming into this full moon, and actually it started kind of earlier in October at the new moon, where you're going to have a succession of a lot of these planets that are going to start moving forward again. And
Mhm.
that's kind of bringing in the energy that allows us to start like bringing together a lot of the plans, or ideas, or things that you've been trying to make sense of. And you're going to see like it's going to become a lot easier and a lot clearer. So I'm really looking forward to that, because I've really had the sense of being in a holding pattern. Um, and so this full moon is also happening in Aries,
Mhm.
and it's happening at 27 degrees. And full moons are when the sun and the moon are opposing each other. So we have the sun in Libra, and we've had a lot of planets in Libra and a lot of
Yes,
Libra
we
energy
have.
that we've been dealing with. And Libra has a lot to do with relationships, kind of weighing both options, having a sense of balance and fairness, putting others' needs before your own. Um, and, kind of like having some sense of trying to create beauty around you. I mean, I really love Libra energy, but it can be really difficult to kind of like
Yeah.
have sense of what you need to do for yourself and take care of your own needs. Um, and that's what Aries is really good at. So we have this Aries
100%.
full moon, and Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's the start of a new cycle. And it's just a good reminder, especially that your journey is your own journey. This is your story you're writing. Yes, you do need to have people in your life, but you need to make sure that you're honoring yourself first and recognizing what is best for you. Um, and at the same time, creating good boundaries around what other people expect of you, and being able to have healthy relationships that support your vision
Yeah.
and the direction you want to go, um, and do it in a very diplomatic way. That's one thing about Libras, is they can be very diplomatic. They put their best self forward. That's their goal. And so to kind of like have a good sense of both ways of being, I think is going to be really important with this moon, because things are going to be happening very rapidly.
Yes,
There's been a lot that's going on, and having a sense of what is right for you and what feels good for you is you're going to have to really, really tap into that and hold on to it and have this conviction about yourself and your path and your power and who you are in the world, and your autonomy, and hold on to that instead of being swayed by what everyone else expects you to do,
I agree.
or what you feel like you're responsible for, because you can be pulled in many different directions, but in
Yeah,
the end it's like you're being honoring that part of yourself is going to be what is integral to the next probably several months, year.
mhm,
Um, Full moon energy, because we always talk about the cycles. So full moon energy can either have like a very short 2-week cycle until the next new moon, which happens in Scorpio in November.
mm,
Um, or it can be like a 6-month energy from Aries full moon to Aries new moon, which will be in April. It can also be a full year cycle. So depending on what you're working with and what is coming up for you at this full moon, it's good to like look at that, but really, really honor that part of yourself as we're moving forward.
yes, I think that has been a key message that we've heard like repeating throughout this year is to really be truthful about what you want, and not let other people lead you in directions, or course, kind of like encourage you to go down a certain path that you are not necessarily wanting to go down. You really need to be truthful to yourself. If you're not truthful to what you need in yourself, um, it's going to really bring you off your path. So don't let fear drive you to do something that you don't feel is connected to your path or your soul's kind of like guidance for what you should do. Be really just aware that, you know, you need to stay on your true path, and not
Yes.
to,
There's I know when I first started paying more attention to my own intuition and
yeah.
stuff, and I see this a lot, is that a lot of times I would second guess what I was feeling or what I knew. And it's almost like when you hear, don't get in your car and go down the street because you're going to get in an accident. You're like, oh no, that's not going to happen.
Hmm.
And then what happens? Like you get in, and there's like nothing worse than feeling like I knew I shouldn't have done that
Yep.
and going on and doing it anyway, because you do have that sense of yourself. um I mean, your intuition is your biggest superpower. um
100%. Yes.
and it's your connection to spirit, it's connection to your team of guides and angels on the other side. Like um you're not doing yourself any favors by not recognizing it and honoring it. And so that's one of the biggest things that I try to help people figure out is like, what does that sound like? And what does it look like? And how can I better acknowledge it instead of getting into your thinking brain, which is a very Libra quality. um, Librans, they are an air sign and they can be very mental. And I don't mean like, I mean in a good way, but it's a very cerebral energy, and they want to go like, well, this makes the most sense, and this, seems the most logical, and this could have the best outcome, in theory. But then you also have this Aries energy that is very instinctual and almost primal, because it is the first. I think I've mentioned before, Aries, it always reminds me of the Fool card in the tarot, because he's just going off and doing whatever without really giving a lot of thought to where he's going or what he's doing. It's like, this feels right, and I'm going to go in that direction and see what happens. and ultimately, like, it leads him to where he needs to be. But
Yeah.
I think that it's really important to, during this time, recognize where maybe your um, brain is trying to override your intuition and your gut feeling that
Mhm.
um, is kind of like should be your guiding source right now.
Yeah.
Um, and also make sure that what you're feeling is not being driven by, and we've talked about this recently because there has been a lot of um, kind of illusion happening with Neptune, with
Mhm.
whatever Neptune's doing. A lot of things that kind of seem one way but aren't really that way. So it's really important to make sure that you're not being driven by fear. Honor your feelings, but
Yes.
check where your feelings are coming from. Um, and there's like kind of a calmness and a sureness that comes when you're tapping into the right place, and not a sense of anxiety and overwhelmingness. And I think a lot of people have been feeling that lately.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, when you get too much in your head, then you're going to get that anxiety because if if your soul's saying, "Hey, your intuition, go this way," and then you're going, "Oh man," that's where you cause
yeah,
fear in your life, right? And
yeah.
anxiety and
And I have to keep reminding myself too, because there have been a lot of times where I've been starting to get kind of this sense of anxiousness around some of the things that are happening in the world.
Mhm.
And I have to go, okay, well, for one, am I safe right now? Yes. So I don't need to be feeling this right now. I'm creating problems that don't exist in the current moment. Like, and
Mhm.
then two, like, um, oh my gosh, see, that's what happens. I have Aries, Moon, and Mercury, so it's like 5 million things running through my head at any given time. Um, is that you? Okay, we'll come back to that because I can't figure out what I was going to say.
Okay, no problem.
Oh, checking with my anxiety. It's like, so are those things really happening? And then also, is it really mine? Is it really like, because there is a lot of um, outside noise and a lot of collective energy, like, is it mine to deal with, or am I just, are my spidey senses, my
Mhm.
empathic abilities that everybody has, um, some to more degree than others, but are
Well, I
you
know you look
picking
at
up on the
look at
energy?
that person next to you, and then they turn and look at you when you're in your car, so everybody's got it, so
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes, and I think, I mean, I that just made me think of my dog. My dog can be in a closed room and sense when there is another dog walking down the street.
Uh-huh.
Like, without being able to see them, it's like they just suddenly know that something is in their
Mhm.
space. And I think being human animals, we tend to have that sense of, we can pick up on vibrations, we can pick up on frequencies, we can pick up on energy. And so it's really important to kind of, you know, sense that. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, kind of switching gears a little bit here,
It's okay.
um, because there has been so much that has happened over the year. Like, um, we've talked about how it feels like time has been really warped and things have been kind of moving at a fast pace. Like, things have been happening. There's been this really big shift that's been occurring with everybody and the planet. Um, there have been a lot of solar flare activity lately. If you have never looked into that, you can look up the Schumann resonance on the internet. It's pretty fascinating to see because it the Earth for a long time had a really consistent energetic vibration happening with the Schumann resonance. And over the last couple of years, we've really seen some really high spikes
Mhm.
and solar flare activity, and that is electromagnetic activity. And that affects us
100%.
physically, mentally, emotionally. And so when that does come towards the earth, um, there is a sense of anxiety. We're feeling that vibration and we're feeling that undercurrent of energy. It can affect electronics, it can affect um, kind of like different you that's recently, I think it was just the other day, there was northern lights in Seattle
Yep.
area, Washington area. Like we don't normally get that here, but there had been a really large solar flare that had made its way into that energy had come into the earth's atmosphere, and that created the northern lights, the auroras. So it is a very real scientific thing. It does affect us. The interesting thing about that is that a lot of people have also been um, increasing their own personal vibration. And especially if you've been focused more on your spirituality and your personal growth. Um, and there's something called there's some things that happen when you start increasing your own personal vibration, and they call it ascension symptoms. And it very closely resembles the same sort of symptoms that you get when there's electromagnetic frequency from solar flares. So with that, and that's where I was kind of circling back around, if you're feeling an increase in anxiety, that is a very possible reason. Headaches, vivid dreams.
Mhm.
You could have some body aches and pains because energy is moving throughout your body in a very different way than it used to. Um, you can have more kind of like intuitive moments, a lot of synchronicities start happening. Um, but it can be, if you're not used to being in that energetic vibration, it can feel a little foreign, it can feel a little overwhelming. Some people may not be sleeping at night, some
Mhm.
people may feel a little agitated or on edge. I know a couple of people I've spoken to and myself, it almost feels like there's a vibration running through your body. In various, you may feel it in your hands, you may feel it up and down your spine. It almost feels like you're close to an electric fence.
Mhm.
So just pay attention to that and know that not only are people shifting into this higher vibration of being, which is a really good thing. Um, we want to vibrate higher. We want to increase our level
Yes.
of light in our being, and our auras. But the earth is also going through this kind of shift too at the same time. So just pay attention.
I like that.
And yeah, I feel like
Good morning.
there's a very, especially when I start getting overwhelmed at what's happening in the world,
Mhm.
um, I remind myself that um, there's a very specific reason that we decided to be present on this earth at this time. And a lot of people, a lot of us, and even if you don't understand why yet, but we're being kind of like called up to step into um, these bigger callings for ourselves. And this is the transition period, and we don't know what's gonna transpire, but we know that there's a reason and a purpose for why we chose to be here.
Yep.
So just keep that in mind if you're feeling a little anxious or overwhelmed. So,
I like that. That's great advice. Um, you know, with this full moon too, we're coming up, we have Jupiter going direct, we have Mercury going direct. I mean, obviously with Jupiter, that's like karma, luck, all that sort of great things. And I really feel like that in itself, coupled with that Aries energy, that's providing like kind of a potential for like a great bold move that's going to come
no,
forward.
absolutely.
How,
I think that this moon's going to bring a lot of clarity,
mm-hmm,
a lot of clarity to any kind of thing that has been a little bit fuzzy or a little bit hidden or
yep,
distorted up until now. I think that the last several months, there's been a lot of clearing away and a lot of deciding um, what you value, what's important to you, what doesn't need to take the journey with you.
Yeah.
And that includes people, especially we've had this Mercury retrograde in Libra, and I know that that's affected a lot of relationships, a lot of partnerships. Um, and not necessarily in a bad way. I think for a lot of people, it came in and gave them an opportunity to heal and have some closure around letting that go, or expectations that maybe you
Yeah.
had regarding your partnerships. Um, and so with Jupiter, it's very significant that it's going direct, and Mercury, that it's all
Yes.
going direct at the same time. It's kind of opening that door and saying, okay, now's the time for you to start putting all of that out on this new path,
Hmm.
um, or start like moving forward and thinking about your future,
Yep.
what you want in your future, what's important for you to take with you in your future life, um, and really kind of being decisive. Um, Libra can be very indecisive. I think this moon is really asking everybody to start being more decisive, but more on a gut level decisive, and not, you may not have the full picture, but
Hmm.
you're going to have a sense of this is what I need to do.
Yep. And just be aware, as there's the potential for, as we were talking about, that change is going to happen very fast. And just go with your gut on things, go use your intuition. And, you have that side of Jupiter with you. You have the karma, you have the relationships hopefully healed with the Mercury retrograde. So use those pieces as you move forward and do so without, you can't really fear it. So no, just like if that is, if something's causing you fear, like, quick movement that's going to potentially happen, just let it come and know that it's because the universe has brought it. So,
I mean, I think ultimately you're always supported. You have a support team behind you.
mhm,
Um, the universe, even when it doesn't feel like it is, it's trying to navigate and configure itself in your life in a way that is going to bring you to what is meant for you and what is best for you. And so I think when things are hard, I always try and remember, like, okay, this may not be the way I would want it to go, and this may not feel right now, and this may be really uncomfortable. But if I look back, and I'm sure if any of you do too, you look back, you'll see how every little thing eventually got you to a better place. Um, and it's important to trust that right now. So,
take myself off mute. Try to at
oh,
least. I was shuffling cards. I was gonna pull. I pulled a card, King of Cups, and that is really like the King of Cups is in super control of his emotion, is well balanced. So I take that as a calling, like to you, as stuff is going on. What we were just speaking to, really look at your emotions and don't let them overwhelm you. Kind of use that energy. And then I also
does
have,
Aries? Oh, go ahead.
oh no, go, no, go
I
for
was
it.
just gonna say Aries kind of has a reputation for being a little I don't want to say dramatic, but they don't necessarily hold things in very well. They react. They're very reactive. And so it is good time to try and operate from the higher level of Aries, um, where you do have more, like you said, King of Cups energy,
Yeah.
like not so reactive, but a little more like in control of your emotions, and aware of how what you do does affect other people around you. Because even though it's important to honor yourself, you we are all together. So
Yes.
you have to like pay attention to how what you do and how you react and how you come across or uh, communicate with other people. Like can be consequences if not done in a way that honors that other person.
Yes.
So
100%.
mature Aries.
Yes. A mature Aries. I like that. So I grabbed this in celebration of Halloween. I have the
Ooh,
Halloween Oracle. So I wanted to pull a card from that.
yeah.
I did. So it's the Skull of Flowers Creating Through the Ashes. It's kind of a pretty card.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, and their little quote about it says, "We may not wish to delve there, the shadows, the darkness, the unknown. Yet when we search, we will reveal, and our power it has grown." And so, I mean, that really comes to it too. Like, here we are, and we're gonna start creating through stuff that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Time
Just
to step
yeah.
step into your power
Yep.
and create good boundaries and honor yourself and your
Yes.
intuition and your path.
100%. Well, do you want to add anything before we go, or you think we got
Um, let's see. Let me look at my notes really quick.
it?
I think I covered it all.
Sweet. Well,
The one thing I did want to say is that next month we do have some pretty intense
yes.
astrology coming up and some intense energy. We are going to be heading into eclipse season again. And there's some, those are portals. And um, there's some activations that are happening with Scorpio, which is about transformation. It's about kind of the darker underbelly of spirituality.
Mhm.
So we'll be talking about that, but um, it's just something to be aware of that the next couple of months might feel a little intense.
Yes.
So take advantage of this moon to get clear on what you value and where you're going and what your priorities are.
Stick to your gut.
So.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope you have a great full moon and also a great Halloween, since we won't be talking to you till after that time. Uh, Remember, Mercury is going direct, and there is still kind of a shadow period as it picks up speed there and gets going. But hopefully, you're going to enjoy this more direct aspect to everything.
Yes.
So, all right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.